Hey guys, and welcome back to my kitchen. But in case this is the first time you're stopping by, my name is Gina and I'm a wife and mother from the Midwest, and I enjoy cooking meals for my family, and sometimes I make videos of my recipes and I post them here on YouTube. Today, as you can see, I have like 2.5 million ingredients out. I am trying to clear out my pantry because I just have an overabundance of random ingredients that have accumulated over the summer, extra veggies from the garden that are going to go off, and I needed to make something with them. So we landed on, I'm going to be making my version of chicken and sausage and shrimp jambalaya, or just jambalaya. By no means is this authentic. This is just a delicious version that I am whipping up with things that I have on hand. It is probably kind of an expensive recipe, to be honest, because I happen to have shrimp and sausage and chicken. But I mean, to be honest, like the sausage is like $6, the shrimp were like $10, and then chicken. So this is definitely not a cost-effective recipe, but it is going to be good. And I happen to have all this stuff, believe it or not, in my cabinets, fridge, and pantry. So we're just going to go with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. This is going to be a one-pot meal. And we are going to have a plethora of veggies in here. If you're familiar whatsoever with Cajun cooking or cooking from like the Louisiana region, down south they use something called the Holy Trinity instead of mirepoix, which is the French version of a flavor base, which is carrots, celery, and onions. But in Louisiana, and they use the Holy Trinity, which is usually red bell pepper, green bell pepper, and onion. But since I have all of these peppers from the garden, I'm using these. So I'm aware that this is not the correct flavor base, and that I'm doing something different. So please don't put any nasty comments. I'm just trying to empty out my fridge, peeps. So I'm using an orange pepper that I had from the grocery store. These teeny tiny peppers are from my garden. These are actually bell peppers, believe it or not, which it just goes to show you how crazy like the hormones and chemicals or whatever they give us in our food is, because this is a fully ripe green pepper that had turned red on the vine because it was full size, and I just wanted to see, and like look at the difference in size. Like that is absolutely crazy. So this would be the equivalent of 3 peppers in my opinion. So you would want 3 bell peppers. I would probably use a yellow, a green, and a red if you can, but I'm using this yellow. Oh, scheisse. Luckily my floor is clean. And I'm gonna wash it anyways. Then I have these 6 tiny peppers from the garden, which I would say 3 each equals a pepper. And then I have these Cubanelle peppers that my sister, who lives next door, gave me, and I'm going to put them in this recipe because they're just 2 of them, which isn't really enough to make a recipe of anything in particular, nor do I really cook with these very often, so I'm just gonna add them in and hope they add to the flavor. And lastly, a jalapeno. We also have celery, which is part of the Holy Trinity, so bell peppers, celery, and onion. And then I've got a white onion, which we'll be using. I have some fresh garlic. I have some fresh okra, which I know, who has fresh okra? I just have fresh okra and shrimp, guys. I really do. I don't know what to tell you. When I see things that look good and fresh and are different at the store, I pick them up. Just the other day, I actually picked up raw green peanuts, and I'll be posting a video on how to make boiled peanuts, which was really good and different. So we're only going to be using about a cup of these sliced up, but you could totally use frozen if you wanted to. In regards to our pantry items, we are going to be using some vegetable stock, but you could use chicken stock if that's what you have, or whatever, even seafood stock if you have that. I have so many veggies here, they're just all going to fall on the floor. We've got some tomato puree, but you could use crushed tomatoes, whatever you want. We're going to use about half of this, so I'll freeze the other half of the bag because Cento is the bomb diggity. Like, no sponsoring here, but Cento is quality tomato products, peeps. So if you're looking for good quality San Marzano style tomatoes, go with Cento. Sorry, I feel like I'm like super excited because I haven't made a video in a while and I'm really talking a lot. Take a deep breath. Okay, moving on, pantry items. Other one is rice. Gonna need some olive oil for frying. And then we have our seasoning. So we are going to be using this here Cajun Spice Blend from Morton and Bassett, whatever, Bassett. I'm really a piece of work today, guys. You can use this. You can make your own Cajun seasoning. You could use Creole seasoning. But I'm using this. And it probably has, let's see, does it say in here? Contains paprika, celery, garlic, basil, thyme, white pepper, red pepper, parsley, and oregano. So that's what's in here. So you could make your own. We're going to be adding in a little bit of bay leaf. We're going to add some extra thyme, some extra cayenne for a little more kick, some black pepper, and some sea salt. If you don't have black pepper, you can definitely use white pepper here because white pepper in Creole cooking is very popular. I just am going to use the black pepper because it doesn't matter. So anyways, sea salt, rice, we did that. And then moving on to our meat section, we're going to be using 1 large chicken breast. You could totally omit this, but all of the recipes that I kind of looked at that I've like made this recipe based off of include chicken. Every other one I've ever made before previously, I usually just use the shrimp and the sausage, but whatever. We're going to throw chicken breast in there because I have a lot of chicken on hand. I'm going to be using 1 pound of shrimp. It's a little bit over a pound. These are peeled and deveined. I'm going to go ahead and remove the tails from them because I don't know why anybody would want the tails on there. Whatever, just a waste of my time. And they were super expensive anyways. I mean, $9, geez. Moving on, we have Cajun and Dewey style sausage. This is the Adels brand. I'm not sponsored by them. I know a lot of people are sponsored by them, but this sausage is actually really good. I've bought in several different types, but I wouldn't go for the ones that are like the Johnsonville brand or the Butterball turkey one because those are more of like a hot dog, where this is definitely like a sausage, and we're going to simmer this for a while. So you do want something nice and hearty that will stand up to the cooking process and won't turn into like a gelatinous blob. What, babe? All right, we'll call Auntie Megan in a minute. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get my veggies prepped and get like all of this stuff prepped so I can come back and start showing you guys the next step. Okie dokie. So that actually took quite a bit of time because I had to cut up a bunch of stuff and defrost some stuff. So let's just start with what we did here. I went ahead and I checked the shrimp after defrosting them, obviously. So I guess I should rewind. I defrosted the shrimp and I did it by just soaking them in cold water in the sink, and it happens relatively fast. I would say about 10 minutes. And then after they're done, you want to go ahead and check the... Sorry, I try to use live focus video so you guys can see better. You go ahead and check like along the spine, if you will. And there's a vein in case you don't know, and that is literally their poop vein. And you just want to make sure that it's gone because they'll say peeled and deveined, but on occasion there will still be, hang on, I've got shrimp on my fingers. There will still be some of those veins in there. We don't want that. So those are there. I went ahead and I defrosted my chicken in the microwave using the defrosting setting for 1/2 pound of chicken because that was a really large chicken breast and it was perfect. Chopped it up into bite-sized pieces. And then lastly, I went ahead and I cut our andouille sausage into coins. These are relatively thin coins because we are making this stovetop and it's not going to slow cook all day. Moving on, I have my okra here. This is the small bowl. Here's my hand just for reference. It's not like a cereal bowl. So it's about 1.5 cups of okra, I would say. And if you've never used fresh okra, I want you to be aware that it is normal for it to have, we call it baba in our house, which in Spanish it's like with nopales, the spit or the drool that comes out. It's kind of, see it? That is normal. Hey girls, can you please simmer down? Please simmer down. Sorry guys. Anyways, I know some of you guys hate it when there's noise from the kids, but they're 2-3-year-olds and it is what it is. All right, so we've got about 1.5 cups of that here. We have 4 cloves of garlic that I've minced up, and then we have our entire bowl of veggies, which is the 1 onion, 2 ribs of celery, equivalent to 3 bell peppers, all chopped up here, and then our jalapeno, I seeded it, and I deveined it, and I chopped it up in teeny pieces, so that would be considered a mince. So this is just what we're looking at in regards to size, so you guys know. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and heat our pot here over a medium flame. I'm using this tall one. I don't know. I don't usually use it, but I've been doing a lot of pickling lately. So it was out and it was washed, and this is what I'm using. But you could use any type of large Dutch oven, whatever, large type of pot. I'm like losing my mind. I don't even know how to speak. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add just a healthy drizzle of olive oil. But if you are looking to conserve calories, a little tip, just like with bacon, this sausage has a lot of fat in it. So what you could have done is you could have put the sausage in the pan cold. And do you see all these chunks of fat? These fat would render as the pot comes to heat, and that would result in you having oil to cook in that is not additional oil. It would be oil that would already be in the dish because it's oil that's in the sausage. I'm going to wait for this to heat up, which is actually smoking already. What the heck? I'm going to go ahead and we're going to dump in all of our meat besides the shrimp. So we have the chicken and the sausage here in this pot. This pot is much thinner than my usual stainless steel. That's why it heated up so quickly. I'm used to a really thick-bottomed stainless steel pot. We're going to go ahead and just let this go probably about 5 to 8 minutes until we get a little bit of color on the sausage and the chicken, and I will be back. Alright, so I removed our chicken and sausage to the side. This was the wrong pan choice, to be honest. It's too deep and it's not wide enough, so our meat was steaming instead of browning, which is not great. But since it simmers for a long time with all of these different flavorful peppers and seasonings, it'll be okay. I went ahead and turned it down for a second so I could remove all of that meat without scalding the rest of the grease that's left in the pan. And we're just going to go ahead and bring it back up to a medium. And now we're going to saute the peppers and the onions until the onions start to get a little translucent, which will take us probably about 5 to 10 minutes, depending. Maybe 10 because this was really a stupid pot. I'm dumb. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go over medium heat until the peppers are translucent. I'm just going to season it until the onions are translucent. I'm just going to go ahead and season it up with a little bit of salt. Because if you know from watching my previous videos, when you go ahead and you salt your vegetables while they're sauteing, it actually helps them to release the moisture more quickly, which speeds up the cooking process. So probably about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, nothing crazy. And we're just browning this off right off in the grease that was left over from the chicken and the sausage and the olive oil. I'll be back in a few. Hey guys, alright, so it's probably been about 5 minutes, and as you can see, our onions are getting translucent and the peppers and celery have softened, so we're just going to move on to our next step, which is adding in our fresh garlic. So a lot of recipes will tell you to put the fresh garlic in at the same time with the onions and whatever else you're doing, and that's just really not true. And if you're watching a video that says that, they probably haven't done that much, research or studying into the culinary arts and how to cook properly, because garlic burns very quickly and you don't want to burn it because it becomes extremely bitter. So once your onions or whatever you're cooking first, whatever your vegetables are in any recipe, are tender, then you add your garlic in and you stir fry it for about another minute. I'm going to go ahead and let this go for a second because we're about to have a child interruption. Okie dokie. So we're going to go ahead and add in our tomatoes, which I am using this giant can of tomato puree, but you could use crushed tomatoes or whatever you want. And I'm just using half of this. So I'm just going to be very careful. There we go, about half. Go ahead and mix that in. Stop the cooking of the veggies. Next thing we're going to add in is our stock. You could use Nor Suiza if you want and mix it with water. You could use chicken stock. You could use vegetable stock. Trying to do stuff with one hand is really hard. All right, so this container has 4 cups of stock inside. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in 3 cups. So we have a little bit left over because we can always add more liquid in, but it's kind of hard to take it back out. So I like this dish to be a little bit thicker. That's just my personal preference. So I'd rather be able to add additional water and or stock when needed versus having soupy rice liquid, because it's not really a soup. This is more of a rice dish. Okay, there's that. Next is I'm going to go ahead and add in our rice, and this is 1.5 cups of long grain rice, and I didn't do anything to it. I just measured it out, and I'm adding it to the pot, so you don't have to wash it or anything like that. All right. Then we're going to go over to our seasonings. Set this to the side. There we go. We're going to add these in next. So what I have here is 2 tablespoons of the Cajun seasoning, 1/2 teaspoon, and that's tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, 1 teaspoon of thyme, and 1 bay leaf. Go ahead and add this to the pot. And then we are going to add our chicken and our sausage back to the mix. I don't know why I'm still mixing with this. Go ahead and get in here and get everybody happy. I'm going to go ahead and add about 1 teaspoon of salt to this to start. And salt is the same thing. You can always, no, we're going to need to add this. We need to add the rest of the chicken stock because the rice is going to absorb the liquid and this is going to get too dry. So, nix what I said before. Go ahead and add in the whole container of stock. But you can remove, excuse me, wow. It's easy to add more salt, but you cannot remove it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring this to a boil, and then we'll reduce the heat and let this simmer for about 30 minutes or until the rice is cooked. Please be advised, I have not yet added our shrimp or our okra. We will be adding those after the rice is cooked, and I'll be back in about 30 minutes, guys. I did want to mention one more quick thing before I put the lid on this and let this simmer. So as this is coming to a boil, you're going to want to scrape along the bottom because pieces of rice will get attached to the bottom of the pot and they will burn before they start cooking and boiling because they'll settle to the bottom. So make sure you really scrape along the bottom of the pot and the sides of the pot and make sure that nobody is stuck to the bottom. And then once it's boiling like this, you can go ahead and put the lid on and reduce the heat to like medium low, and then we'll set the timer. We'll set it for 20 minutes and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, so it has been exactly 20 minutes and this is perfect. Side note, I think I added a little bit too much thyme. I think 1 teaspoon is too much. Maybe do 1/2 teaspoon, and I will put a notation somewhere on the screen when I am describing the seasoning to you guys because it tastes good, but thyme is a very strong smell, and if somebody's sensitive to that or is not certain if they like thyme, they might be unhappy with the way this recipe smells. So I'm going to add a little bit of extra water because, as you can see, it's nice and thick, but we're going to be simmering this for a little bit more time because we're going to be adding in our okra. Come on. And our shrimp. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this back up. I had turned it down to low for a second because we don't want our rice to get broken up. And if you want, you could probably add more okra to this, but I don't want it to get slimy. Okay, everybody's in there and covered up. I already tasted it for salt. It was pretty good. I did add just 1 teaspoon, as I had mentioned, but I will test it and see after, with the shrimp if it needs a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer until the shrimp are cooked, which could depend on the size of your shrimp. It could be 5 minutes. It could be longer. These are pretty large shrimp, so I'm probably going to say about 10 minutes. And then I'll be back to show you what it looks like when everything's all finished. Alright guys, this is what it looks like when it's been completed. It's probably been about 10 minutes, and the shrimp, you're going to know that they're done when they are C-shaped, or we prefer ours to be completely almost like a circle, or well done. That's just how we like our shrimp, but that's up to you. I mean, a lot of people don't like well done seafood, but we do. And your okra will be tender. You will notice that towards the end of the cooking time, ooh, thanks girl. It actually looks better like that with the light off. Fifi's hooking me up. You'll notice towards the end of the cooking time that the rice is going to start sticking to the bottom, but there's not really anything you can do about that at this point. Don't try to like over mix it. Just maybe try to take a spatula or a wooden spoon like this and try to scrape some of it up as you cook. Because the more you stir, the more the rice will continue to break up and it'll become cloudy and mushy and just, it'll taste good. It just won't look as good. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this. My husband's not home yet. We'll be back with the taste test. And if you want to, at this point, you can start cutting up some garnishes like some green onions or some parsley. All right, guys. So here we go. This is our final product. It's definitely a little bit mushier than jambalaya where you cook the shrimp, or excuse me, the meat mixture separate from the rice, but that's because this is a one-pot version. I thought that this would shorten up the time, but it really didn't. I was still cooking this for about 2 hours, so don't think by any means this is a short dish. This took a long time, but it's really delicious. So I'm serving it with some Jiffy cornbread. I have that cornbread hack on one of my chili videos, and Daniel is home. You like it? All right. He likes it. And the girls ate pasta. And look, guys, we finally got our new table. So from now on in our videos, no more old crusty table. Very excited about this. I hope that you enjoyed this video that I made today for one pot chicken, shrimp, and sausage jambalaya. If you liked it, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And if you loved it, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I really enjoy you guys' comments and watching my channel grow. And Olivia just really wants to say bye. So, all right, girls, say good night.
Good night. Bye.
Can you say subscribe?
And see us videos soon, lady.
Ooh, girl, that was good.
In the morning time, making breakfast.
Oh, you want to make breakfast?
Yeah.
We can do an Olivia's breakfast video.
And me too, and we can do a video. No,
okay, Fifi. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye. The lunch one. And you going to choose that one?
All right, we gotta go.